behind!
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
Welcome indeed. You speak well. I'm Tabi Sositole. Thank you very much for joining us on SABC News Channel 404. We continue the debate about rugby and transformation. As you saw there, SABC will be bringing you, I think, 29 matches of the Rugby World Cup. So do stay tuned as we have everything you need to know as far as that is concerned. In fact, it brings us to why we're here tonight. It's a conversation about transformation in the game tends to rear its head, especially when it comes to Rugby World Cups or any major tournament, so to speak. The real question is, do we do enough to have players of colour? If that's the question in our national teams, Coach Heineke Meyer today named 4 players of colour in his starting 15 for the opening match against Japan over the weekend. Is this enough to say to South Africans, look, this is the best we have? Are the noises going to stop? That's the question tonight. We've got a panel of guests who are going to take us through this. One in particular, Coach Peter de Villiers, former Springbok coach himself. He's got some more insight on what it takes to actually put a team together. And as a lot of the pundits would say, you can never make everybody happy. But before we do that, we've got a huge panel on my left. In fact, analysts on my left-hand side, some kids as well. I see beautiful colours there. I'm going to wave to them and show we can get them on pictures. They'll be chatting to us as well. Hopefully, they'll shed some light on what their thoughts about transformation. Do we even need transformation in this day and age? But a lot of people say, yes, we do, because we're not seeing what a lot of people say we should be seeing on our screens, and as far as representation of our rugby teams and sporting teams across the board. But before we start our conversation, let's take a quick look at this piece. It was filed for the SABC News Channel. Simon Burke is currently with the team up in England, and this is what the team chosen by Coach Heineke Meyer looks like. And these are the boys that will be doing duty for us at the World Cup 2015. Let's take a look.
The Springboks are banking on a fair bit of continuity to make their transition into World Cup mode seamless. The Bok management is full of praise for the Japanese and expect a high-tempo match from an international opponent that has made steady progress.
Been really, impressed with Japan. They play a very high-tempo game, and they're the team in the world that keep the ball the most. So we'll definitely test our defence.
And Meyer also has the services of 2 Bok veterans, Skalkberger and Fourie Duprier, who have been plying their trade in Japan and have been invaluable with feedback.
It's a huge help that Skalks play there as well, and Fourie. We know what to expect, so that was a huge help.
The build-up to this first World Cup match has been immense, and now the team just wants to get out and play.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to make history on Saturday. The first game to ever play against Japan, so I'm proud to be part of it.
The Grand Hotel in Eastbourne is the place the Springboks currently call home. It's a palatial hotel overlooking the seafront. However, the mood in the Bok camp is not as serene as the surrounds. There's a restless energy and general consensus that this 2015 Rugby World Cup must begin already. Simon Burke, SABC News, Eastbourne.
Indeed, there's Simon. Now, we're joined on the panel. These are the people that will be trying to dissect everything we're speaking about tonight. Former Bok coach himself on my right side, Coach Peter de Villiers. Welcome to this special broadcast. I know you've been part of a couple of the dialogues as well. A lot of insights coming from you.
Tabiso, thank you for having me here. I've been blessed to be part of this little dialogues. Very good things came from it. Yeah. And it put us on the right path going forward after the World Cup. Yeah.
Let me bring in on your right side, Murray Ingram. Now, Murray is from Connect Sports Academy. Murray deals with a lot of development in building young teams, especially from the townships. Murray, welcome to this broadcast. Your take so far of where we stand?
Firstly, thanks for having me, Tabisa. Yeah, I think we're on the journey towards transformation, but we're by no means where we should be. And it's just great to have these kind of discussions, because I think it will lead to us, you know, getting to where we should be in terms of transformation.
And last but not least, Michael Pasia. Baba, thank you very much for joining us on SABC News Channel. Your view, former player yourself, legend in these part of the world. Your take so far?
Me, like because I'm involved in the development with young kids, so I want to the kids, they must go up, you know, then there's nothing can be happen wrong, you know, if you know, so.
Thank you very much. Those are three panelists, Murray Ingram, Peter de Villiers, as well as Michael Pasia, former rugby player, former Springbok coach and development coach, speaking to us right here on this broadcast. Let's take us further now. Let's start with you, Coach Peter. You saw what the squad chosen by Coach Heineke Meyer today. These are our 15, these are our boys that will be doing duty for the country, green and gold. At the end of the day, one says that's what matters. They're there, they've been chosen, there's nothing we can do about it now. What is your take on that team?
Well, that's the coach's team. There's nothing that we can do now. We just have to support the team because the players do need it. It's not about right and wrong. It's about the guys who will be on the field now and do the duty for us.
We asked you, Coach, to choose your 15, so to speak, or your match 23. Let's take a quick look at it. I know we do have a graphic of it. And take us through your thoughts behind those particular plays. What would you have done maybe differently as far as Coach Heineke Meyer's squad is concerned? Let's start there. I think those are the fours. You got Tendai.
Yeah, before we get to that team, there's a few.
We have a technical problem there in Cape Town, where Tabiso is talking to various guests about the issue of transformation in rugby, and we're hopefully trying to get that link back up again. But it is a hot topic, and it's been quite a sensitive one. And you've got South Africans on both sides of the coin. Do you, 20 years down the road, accept that maybe it takes a long time to get everybody into the sport?
And it's coming at an important time now when the Rugby World Cup is on, and this issue has not been put to bed, it's not been put to rest, and the issue of transformation in rugby remains a sticking point. Lots of South Africans have been airing their views on social media and been venting in many cases about the lack of transformation, saying that somehow you need to compromise and be more inclusive. Others are saying you don't want to compromise quality of players, especially at an important time like this. Let's now go back to Cape Town and join that debate.
So I went for him, and I went for Peter Steve the Toy, because he's the buckies of old, the most aggressive one. Etzebeth isn't that aggressive. We all think he is, but he's not. He stole more balls, he ran in the back line, he never cleaned, so he's not that aggressive. And then I went for Kolisi with at number 7. Flo, number 6, and Skalberger, number 8.
So it doesn't look that too different as far as what Coach Heineke Meyer chose. I mean, it's relatively the same, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 players. Your backline, as far as that's concerned.
With Sia, the reason why I went was with Sia.
Kolisi, yes.
I believe that whenever you make a replacement, it should take the team to a higher level, and I believe that Willem Alberts is that kind of player. Who will bring that X factor at the last 20 minutes, because he's so strong. He can take it further. So that's why I went for Sia, and Sia will never leave the team down. And Sia is one of those players who, with the other 3, can fit in and make them a complete combination. I mean, it's proven himself as well for Province. I mean, that he is probably one of the go-to players. I think all of them have proved themselves to be there. Yeah. So it's not about proving themselves, but he is the one guy who can play that link that we need so much, especially in the lineouts. And from taking the ball from Skalk and bring everybody else in the game. Let's go to the back line quickly, Coach, before we move on to Murray as well. Your back line, what does it look like? Well, I went for Zane Kersner, and then because I need some finishes and speed on the wings, I went for Vali Leroux and Luwazi. Damien and John, I'm not very happy with both of them, but Damien is more 12 and John is a 13. We've got now two 13s playing together. I don't think that Pat Lambie is going to come off with those two 12s or 13s as the 12. And then I went for Rudy Page because he was the best scrummer. He can organize very, very quick and he can clean when it matters. And the one thing is he takes that one step that occupies and keeps the defense honest around the fringes. So, yeah, that was the team.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through to Murray. Well, Coach, we're going to come back to your team as well and dissect it. Murray, let's take a quick look at yours. You look at Coach Heineke Meier's squad, and let's look at yours. What are the differences? Why did you choose your team as compared to that one?
There's no major differences. I mean, there's a few personnel differences. I think the big thing for me was the backline. I think having Zayn at fullback and not having Damien at centre is a big loss for me. So I put Willie at fullback and Damien at centre. I think throughout the Super Rugby season and the last couple of seasons, Willie's been phenomenal at fullback, and Damien for me was the best attacking player that we had in our backline, and he brought a lot of impetus to our backline.
Let's quickly, that's your forward. Those are your first state, so to speak. You know, Tendai, Beast, Trevor Nyakani is what you have instead of the other Duplessis brother, Yevon, Luke de Jong, Francois Lowe, Sia Colisi as well, agreeing with the coach, as well as Skalkberger at 8. Happiness with that?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor was a bit of a left field selection, and I just felt like if there was a time to try him at tight end, it would be against Japan. Obviously, you don't want to experiment at a World Cup, but I just think that personally he should have had a chance earlier. I went with the lock pairing because I think Luit made a big impression when he came on in the Four Nations series, and you know he made some big tackles and was quite physical, which was quite unexpected actually. I think he's the kind of player that when he's fit and he's not injured, he's had a lot of injuries. He's really come to the fore. So, and that's why I also put Sia at flank, because I thought we'd have two big physical locks. And you know, Japan, I think Heineke alluded to it, that they have a lot of phase play. They play quickly, and I thought having a fetcher like Francois and having Sia in the pack with him, and then the same thing with Willem coming off with. And making some big hits and some big carries with 20 minutes to go would be a good selection. Again, not too different from Coach Peter de Villiers, as you said, fairly straightforward. Looks like the one Heineke Meijer has. Let's move over now to Bob Michael. Bob Michael, your team, are you happy with your team that you've chosen? Anyone in particular that probably stood out for you that you would like to see? Yeah, I'm happy because Zayn, to me, is a good fullback. You know, he can overlap. You know, when the time they pass the ball, so he can overlap. Then the ball, he must come to Mvovo, because Mvovo has got a speed, you know, to score the try, you know. So I like him, you know, like Jean de Villiers, he created tries, you know, to be there. Then he give Brian Abana, you know. So that back line much better to win the game. In your forward pack, not to Tingham, you tend to probably agree. The fourth line, well, Sia, it's a great flank. You know, he can move up front, you know, when he's got the ball, you know. Like Francois Lowe is also, you know, has a good loose trio, you know, like Ezekbet, he can jump to the line out, you know, to bring the ball, you know. Then the piece, it's good fully support, you know, on the line-outs, you know. So basically, what I'm picking up from our panelists, there's not much difference from what Coach Heineke Meijer has chosen, given that these are the players that are chosen, the 31-man squad that went over to England. What I'm going to do, we're going to take a quick break right here on the show. Then we come back, we've got a lovely audience, so I'd like to bring as well, get their views, because it seems that we're in agreement that we need to support this team. This is the one that's doing duty for us at the World Cup. As long as they're flying the green and gold, we'll support them. When you come back, we have a chit-chat with our audience, see what they got to say, what their views are as far as this is concerned, because obviously we're here to have fun, and obviously it's about you at home and you in our audience. So we'll take a quick break. It's a special broadcast brought to you by SABC News Channel. We're down in Cape Town, Sea Point, to speak in rugby transformation. Stay with us. We continue after this.
greatness is not an easy one. It's rough, tough, and full of barriers. And there's only one way to master it. Never, ever stop. Dauntless, the all-new Audi Q7.
Preparing for victory requires intense effort and teamwork. When you get to it, there is no turning back, because all eyes are on you. When it's action time, nothing should stand in your way. Sports Live tackles and analyzes all the sport action. This is the home of all your sport news, updates, and more. Sports Live weekdays at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome to Network, a technology news program that also discusses what's trending in social media in and around Africa. MTN has launched its new movie and television streaming service, Front Row. If it's trending, we will find it. That's Network with me, Spumela Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
Welcome back. You're still watching special broadcast coming to you from our Sea Point studios in Cape Town. We're speaking rugby and transformation. Do we do enough, or are we probably just moaning because it's rugby season, it's Rugby World Cup season, and therefore if we elevate those moans a little bit, somebody will listen. We speak, well, got a panelist right here, former coach of the Springboks, Peter de Villiers, Mary Ingram, as well as Baba Michael Pasia, speaking to us about their thoughts on the matter. We also got a beautiful audience who we're going to chat to right now. I think the question I'm going to put to our audience, we've really got two hands waiting for us, what their views are on, not necessarily this particular team, what their views are on transformation as a whole. Are we making too much noise sometimes, or should we say, if you want a winning team, let them be, because if the Springboks come back, maybe nobody will be complaining about whether they transformed or not. Let's take our first guest. Sir, please, if you can probably stand up and have a chat to us.
My name is Rudy October, and if I look at the two teams from Peter de Villiers and Mary Ingram, and I also look at the squad for Japan, then I think that Heineke Meyer already started on the wrong foot. He could have picked the scrum of Rudy Page, not because my name is Rudy. Yeah. You see, the problem is we have to distribute our strength across 4 matches. Now, I believe that the Samoan match is going to take a lot of energy from the guys. So what will happen now, if one of the guys get injured, Rudy Page will be called upon in the second match against Samoa. We must not just think about the first match. We must think as how we're going to allocate our resources. So my other problem that I have, okay, that is now my only criticism as far as Heineke Meyer team is concerned, okay? Then if I look at Mary Ingram, then we look at captains. Now, I think you will argue that in his team, you will go for Skalkberger. Now, the problem is that Skalkberger, to me, is a risk player, which means that he's always falls prey to the referees. And he may get a penalty, or not a penalty, yeah, a penalty, of course, and then he may be sent off for 10 minutes. And then who's going to be the captain? Okay? So I'm not happy with your selection. Okay? Right. So I'm happy with Rudy Pate, but I still think that Damien de Allende must be saved. He's a strong guy, but not against Japan. They must Peter must rather go for the smaller one, Jesse Kriel.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot
Okay,
for
let's
the
move
time
on.
being.
Thank you very much. Have we got another question? We've got on our far right over there. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Ibrahim Hall. I think Heineke Meyer went for the strongest team here. There's no two ways about that. He's put his strongest team onto the field, and I think he's got 4 players of color in here, in his team, and of course 2 on the bench. I've also noticed that the panelists have chosen basically the players from the squad. Now we're talking about transformation. I'm going to ask the question to the panelists. Who do they think should have been in the squad and could have possibly been in this team on Saturday that is not there? Accounting for transformation, of course, and integration. And the acceleration of transformation, obviously. Thank you.
That's a good question. In fact, that is part of our topic tonight. Coach, let's start right there. Murray, Coach, who do I take first?
Well, the
question of Rudy Page. I mean, you mentioned Rudy as well in your lineup. Interesting aspect, or interesting looking in from the first gentleman. Rudy Page, did Heineke choose his strongest team? And I think it comes back to that question again, Coach, that we had before you came on air. What does a coach do in this instance? You've got 7 matches, which essentially are a final. Do you choose your best team? Is this the best of the best? Because you want to make a statement first up, beat Japan, 100-0 up if you can, to set the ball rolling as far as the World Cup's concerned.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking, but get yourself into a position where you know you have qualified for the semis or the quarters, and then you give the other guys a chance to play. Or play your best team. If that is the best team, it will differ from person to person. Combinations is now very, very important. We started this World Cup on a back foot. A lot of injured players, not a lot of guys who had game time. So if you want to get the combinations going, you go for the people that you think that will be valuable for you going to the quarterfinals.
And most of this hasn't worked, though. I mean, we come off a disastrous championship rugby tournament. So the question is, does the coach even, is he settled? Because surely that must be weighing on the back of his mind. What does he do? Or do we read anything into that at all?
Yeah, you know, you get to a territory where you have to satisfy people. You come with another explanation. I almost said lie. You come with another explanation so that you can make it work for yourself. You're quite right. The Rudy Page thing is a burning point. He's there. We had to select from the squad. Give him a chance, see how he goes. And if he's good enough, then you've got the luxury to play any of the other 2 off the bench, you know. I will go for Ruan because he can actually fill in for more than one position. So he'll be brilliant off the bench. But yeah, he opted to go for that team. Now it's water under the bridge. We just have to now rally behind the team and give the boys the confidence that we believe in them.
Murray, as far as you're concerned, I mean, you at development structures, your development level, this is sort of like a headache that you deal with on a daily basis. You've got this pool of talent. Some of it raw, some of it untouched, some of it general, and it just needs to be molded here and there. Like the coach has said, do you go for a combination where you say, look, these 3, these 4 play well together, they bring out the best out of each other? Or do you say to the coach, well, the coach has chosen the people that he knows, they've done duty for him before, they haven't had the best results of late, but let's see what happens?
I think that's part of the problem in the build-up. When if you look at our rugby championship and compared to New Zealand, I think they had, for me, a lot clearer picture of how they were going to blood new players. And I think the gamble that Heineke has taken on using a lot of players that were injured in the build-up is quite a big gamble, and it hopefully pays off for him. But it is disruptive, and it makes blooding players like Rudy Page difficult. And I think that's one of the things that I'm concerned about going into the championship is have we actually have we had a good rotation policy? I was looking at the New Zealand squad, how they used certain players that didn't end up making it, and how they'd sent them back into their provincial championships and given them game time. We've got a lot of players like Rudy Page that haven't played for 7 months. So it's a difficult selection question to answer, and all the best to Heineke for,
that begs the question, a lot of people saying, but why did Jean de Villiers even make the flight there? 2 weeks ago, we had a fractured jaw. Miraculously, he's healed, and he's captain the team, he's going to start. Is it maybe a favor that the coach or the staff are carrying with him, saying, look, he's been there, he has not played in the previous World Cups. Everyone thought that he should have. Because realistically, I mean, if Jean de Villiers is injured 2 weeks ago with a fractured jaw, has he made fully recovered to
Can I come in there? And that way it brings in your president of the union. He needs to sign off the team. Those are the kind of questions that he and his board had to ask questions asked to the coach beforehand. So before they sign off the team, before you announce the team, these questions has been answered. And because they didn't get involved, because they didn't want to get involved, I don't know why, we sit in this dilemma that we are now. It won't give us any answers. Sure, I don't want to be in issues.
Yeah, just to for the people at home who are watching as well as our audience, we did invite SA Rugby to join us. Unfortunately, they're all up in England because of the World Cup beginning next weekend. No, we promise you they are all up there, but we did speak to President of Oregon Hoskins, and we'll be playing you that clip a bit later on because we do have right of reply that we did ask them to have a chat with us about it. But we'll continue this conversation. But Michael, let me bring you in here as well. A lot of questions asked. The one question the gentleman asked there, if you were to choose outside of the 31 that went to London, who would you choose? Can we not have more than just 4 players of colour in a Springbok team in this day and age? Because if you look at Currie Cup final, not Currie Cup, rather Craven Week was contested by Western Province and Eastern Province, and I think about 70%, if not 80% of the players who played in the final were players of colour, both African and colour in general. Can we not have more players at national team level?
Yeah, we can have more players for the sake of their spirits, you know. When we was look at Stormers games, you know, there was the games with more colored players on the team, you know, than whites. There was less than colored team, you know. So that was a way to, you know. To
and the Stormers went on to win the Currie Cup with that squad.
Yes. You know, because they was using those colored guys, you know.
So basically, coming back to the fact that the players are there, it's just a question of combinations, possibly from you, the two coaches. Combinations, because you can't say that there's no talent right there.
The previous speaker would agree, but we don't answer him. I think too that jumps to mind easily is Juan de Jong. Lionel Mapu, and definitely Elton Yankees. I think those are the guys that would strengthen that squad. But then again, they're not there, and we couldn't select anything outside the original squad.
Could even say Sanatle as well. Why isn't he there?
Absolutely, absolutely. Sanatle for me is the one that, when I look at how we've blooded Jesse Creel in the build-up, I think, you know, and just looking at Sanatle's form in the Currie Cup, if you watched the game over the weekend, but I mean, he's a complete package for me, and coming from the sevens, you know, with the skill set that he has, I would have put him in there.
Coach, I'm going to put you in the spot here. As a coach, do you choose for yourself? Because you have to make everyone at home happy, you have to make your bosses happy, so to speak, as far as SA Rugby is concerned, or do you say, these people sitting out there, those are the people that I need to make happy, they will forgive me, they will forgive a team that loses, but a team that represents them, they'll be more happy with. How do you go about selecting a team at a World Cup that starts for your country?
Firstly, you become a servant of the country. You need to serve the country. The country don't serve you. So whatever you do it to bring hope to the country, and you must be honest in your selections, honest in your dealings with the players too. In certain years, in certain games, you will have more than 10 black players. Then in certain years, you won't have it. But while you do have it, you must make use of it. And at this moment, we're not using the opportunity to take the best players to go and represent our country. And that is what makes people angry at the moment, is because the smoke screen that we put in front of our selections, people think that we all buy into it. What TV did, TV actually gave us the opportunity to see the form of the players week in and week out. So when we fight and when we talk about these things, we're backed by what we saw on television, and those players who actually lighted our rugby and when to beat the other teams that they are playing against now. They're not in the squad, so yeah. Then again, I want to go back to this thing all the time. We can fight as much as we want to fight. We just need now to support the players that they and make them feel that the country is behind them.
Now, just for you at home as well, if you watch, you can also log on to www.sabc.co.za/news. You can get live streaming of this if you maybe going to dip out and do not have a television screen in front of you. You can also follow at SABC News Online. That's our Twitter handle. You can also hashtag SABC News. That's where our online guys are tagging in, following the conversation. So do stay with us. We've got all platforms covered, and as far as that's concerned. Coach, before we carry on, I did say earlier we did speak to SARU President Mr. Oregon Hoskins about the issue at hand, and it's only fair and right that we take a listen in on what their thoughts are. Now, this is SA Rugby on the whole question of transformation. Let's take a look.
I can understand the reason why so many of our country, men and women, have made this an issue at this particular time. It is the World Cup, and it is a time when the whole country sits up and takes stock of the team and its makeup and the sport and its demographics, its representation, its politics. So from a SARU point of view, it's not the best situation that we have most people looking at the organization at a World Cup time, but it's understandable. The issue of transformation is absolutely important to us as an organization, and we have taken cognizance of all the criticism, good and bad, that has come at us at this time. And as an organization, I want to assure the nation that we are taking it very, very seriously. And it is our intention to actually treat this as the biggest wake-up call for South African rugby. I want to assure our nation that this team of 31 is going to the World Cup to represent every single South African, black, white, regardless of his color or creed or her ambitions in life. I can assure this nation that whilst it might not satisfy the demographic representation of our country, and we believe that that is a journey which we have to complete. The team that is going to England is going to compete for every single South African and African in Africa.
Oregon Hoskins there speaking about the team that's gone out to England. Well, basically saying he understands that it is not clearly define the demographics of the country, but it's a work in progress. I'll bring in our audience here and see their views on it. I think there's microphones out there. So you heard what Oregon Hoskins has just said. What are your thoughts? It says it's a work in progress. What are your thoughts on that, and what are your views so far?
Thank you. My name is Mark Kleinschmidt, and I've been leading the transformation in rugby. It's imperative. And Oregon Hoskins said it well. He speaks about fit for purpose. I think each player, all 31, they believe that they've been chosen on merit and not necessarily their skin color. And very importantly, I do believe that rugby must be administered by rugby administrators. Like Peter de Villiers, he said we find ourselves in a dilemma. But it was Mandela who said that sport should unify us. And if we come back from that Rugby World Cup, and we're still not happy because of the dilemmas, because of the political differences, then we haven't succeeded. I believe that despite our diversity, that there should be unity. The same kind of unity and gees we experienced in the World 2010 Soccer World FIFA Cup. Yeah. So I support the World Cup Rugby. I support the team, but very importantly, it's important that we should take cognizance of the demographics of South Africa, but also take cognizance of fit for purpose. The best player to be in the team. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir.
Can I add to one thing that I pick up there in the speech of the president? I normally listen to things people don't say. And what he said is that we were fast asleep. Somebody had to come and wake us up.
I mean, he did say that it's a wake-up call.
So we fast asleep in rugby.
We've got our microphones as well up there. There's a gentleman standing right at the top of the auditorium. Sir, your views, please.
Good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Siddiq Krombi. I first want to say that we should make away with the word transformation. It's a misnomer. It's a negative slant. It puts a dark cloud over the head of a person of color. Rather talk about opportunities. All we, as people from disadvantaged communities, are asking is for opportunities. That's the first thing. Secondly, if you want to talk transformation of the media. Talk transformation of those people that sit behind the mic and run players of color down. Never have anything good to say about a player of color. Talk about people in the print media that write about our players in a negative slant. Then we talk transformation. If we want to talk transformation further, let us talk about that money that was spent on development that produced results. We don't need a crutch. We've been playing rugby for hundreds of years, and all we're asking is an equal opportunity. And lastly, how can you expect us playing on our emotions now, on our heart? Yes, it's our country, but our mind says to us, you've taken 8 players that are injured, and you know for the fact that you are not allowed to fly out another player. And it's not niggling injuries, those are serious injuries. And you still expect us to support that team. Yes, we are patriots at heart. This is our country. We will fight for this country. But don't try to doob us into supporting something that we are not comfortable with.
Let's take 2 more points before we come back to our panelists. Yes, sir.
Good evening, presenters, and thank you for allowing me to be here to speak tonight. I have one or two questions that I would like to raise. The first one being that if we look at the Western Province team over the years, under the guidance of Alistair Coetzee, they've been doing exceptionally well. And my point that I'm trying to make is they've been playing a different style of rugby to the others. And if we look at international level, the rugby has changed from that power rugby that we know and that has been played by the former colonialists to what we see today. And you look at a team like Argentina and you ask, how can Argentina come beat us in our own backyard? That's not on. But now you've got to look at what type of rugby we're playing. Is the rugby we're playing correct? Are we understanding the rules correct? Are we interpreting it correctly? You go back further from the international team and you go back further, now you go to the schools level. At schools level, there is chaos with regards to the learner getting that same opportunity as the other one. And like the previous speaker said, the media, they write everybody that is of a certain creed in that way, and another creed in another way. The commentators on TV, when they commentate in the game, they run that poor player down, and you ask yourself, now, how do you build up a player? You ask yourself, the little countries like Japan that we're playing on Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if they come in and they give us a tough game where we beat them by 2 points. I'm being honest with you. Because these guys, they know the type of rugby we play. We want to play power rugby. Is it still time for power rugby? I doubt it.
Interesting.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask for the microphones to move to the young ones as well, because you mentioned a couple of things. Development, which is, I think is key. It would be nice to actually hear from the youngest of our panels. We'll get our analysts, of audience rather, get a microphone to them. Coach, once we move around microphones, let's quickly touch on a couple of things that people touched on. Equal opportunity. Let me bring you, Marion. The equal opportunity is all they're asking for. They don't want to be called transformation players or coach players. All they want is to be viewed equally. And that question, Coach, of taking the injured players, I think we had touched on it a bit earlier, but basically the sentiment is that South Africans are not duped in the sense of what is happening as it is, and you also touched on it earlier. Opportunities-wise, Mari.
It's something that I harp on endlessly. I've got a bunch of kids sitting in the audience here who've been playing rugby for a year and are knocking over some of the big established rugby schools consistently now. And, you know, if we hadn't been able to nurture them from, buying shorts and socks, and we've got a feeding scheme going, they would never have access to rugby. And I think that's where the discussion really needs to be centered, is there's an abundance of talent throughout communities that aren't necessarily part of the rugby establishment. And I think that's something that has to be spoken about time and again in order to address the issue at hand. And most of us in rugby will know that you can't just create Springboks overnight. You can't create professional rugby players overnight. You have to invest a lot of time and effort into players. And from my experience, I can say that if those resources and opportunities, which we continue to speak about, are afforded to kids of colour and from communities that aren't seen as traditional rugby communities, it'll be a pretty easy task for us to have a totally transformed Springbok team.
Can I just come in with Murray there? I agree fully with what he says, but where I disagree with him is, we played this game for over 100 years.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder why was me be developed over and over and over again. I mean, I've retired already and they want to develop me. so just believe, because they look different, they don't think different.
Yeah.
They can play different.
Equal opportunities. Basically.
You understand?
Yeah.
What I want to hook on from the previous speaker is that we, with our power play, we organize defense and not attacking opportunities. Yeah. Now, what we do, we are so caught up with being successful in not losing that we will do everything in our power not to lose, but we do nothing to win.
Do you think maybe winning in 95, Coach, kind of set us back, to be honest, in 1995? Because thereafter we saw nothing else except having a winning Springbok team regardless. We didn't take time to nurture coming out of isolation and actually structure rugby properly at the time. What do you think?
Tibiso, you're touching a sore point. We are now 1995. Look, where are we now? 20 years later. We are still putting money into celebrating 1995. We've got nothing to celebrate anymore. We didn't make a Super 15 semi-final. We never progressed in under 20. We lost against Argentina, went from 2nd to 5th. We've got nothing to celebrate. Now we go back to guys in wheelchairs because we're celebrating there. and that to me is not, what about these youngsters? What about the hope?
Bob Michael, let me bring you in there as well. You've been quiet for a while. The sentiment, Bob Michael, is that South Africans are not fooled. They know exactly what is going on. And there's obviously not much happiness. But the lasting sentiment is that we have to support this South African team.
Yeah, no, as we all see, we're not happy, but now we must be try to make the things change and to let all the people be happy. Then the Springbok will make successful, when they change the thing must change, they'll make the things successful to go up front.
Well, let me bring in the youngsters. They're sitting in our audience. They would like to get a feeling of what their thoughts are, because hence I'll raise the question, Coach, is that do we even still need transformation? And gentlemen there said they do not want to be called transformation players or culture players. They want to be given equal opportunity, and they'll show everyone at home. Let's take one of our youngsters. Young lady sitting over there. She's got the microphone. What is your take, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Nancy Minton, and I think Trafalgar. Why after 20 years is 20 years of democracy is transformation still a word in our country? I travel with my rugby boys, and we go to different schools, and I see the facilities that the other schools have that are better than us. But yet our school are still better than them. Their skills are still better.
Interesting point. Basically coming back to that, like you're saying, Coach, you don't necessarily have to be transformed, just be given the opportunity.
We had a slogan when I was part of the then apartheid era. No normal sport in an abnormal society. If anybody can show me the normal society now.
Do we have another hand? Microphone right here, sir.
Yeah. I'm from Heidelberg in the Western Cape. My name is Aki Goliath. I think I need to start at the beginning. We are actually at the end of something that should have been done when I was still young. And that was a long time ago. Transformation is the end process of what should have been the integration of our society into a unified society, as the previous gentleman spoke about. Because of that mere fact that there's no real integration in our society, it means that we have this division. Remember that the Springbok side has already been selected by Nakamaya. Whatever we are doing now is only flogging a dead horse. And I think that people need to see that for what it is, whether we are going to argue with his selection, the choices that he is making. That's not going to change how we are going forward as a country. Transformation should be the end result of our willpower to change the way that people think about ourselves as South Africans. And I do think that in order for us to go forward, we need to look beyond. Even SARU's president isn't looking beyond my skin color or everybody else's skin color. The fact that he's lying and I'm going to retract that. The fact that he made the statement that they were not looking at color, but he mentioned specifically race, means that he hasn't transformed himself yet because he hasn't been integrated into society. He's just looking at it from his point of view. And I think that as people, we need to develop ourselves. Yeah. I'm not talking about developing Peter because Peter says it's been developed enough. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm going to stop just now. It is important to know that, to actually acknowledge that our youngsters are actually the people that we need to look forward to, the people that will take this country forward. Because if we look at representative sites at age level, we will see that the majority of those kids are kids of color. Yeah. We have to go back that route again. Thank you.
Let's take one more. I'm going to ask you to please, very quickly, I'm going to give you a minute or so. Let's do another youngster, please. I mean, I'd like to, where's the microphone? Oh, there's a youngster there in the green jacket. I'm going to ask you to keep it very quick, young man, so that we carry on, because there's a graphic that I want us to bring up, Coach. It's a comparison of the 3 coaches so far, yourself, your predecessor, as well as the current coach. Now, let's take a quick look at as far as transformation as far as athletes brought into the Springbok lineup. Yes, young man, let's have you.
My name is Luther. I'm from the Connect Sports Academy. We have to understand that it's been 21 years since the apartheid ended, and there's only 7 players that are black there. So we should try and add more players, because I'm from the townships. So there's no opportunity in the townships. So the higher people, they should go to the townships and look for children and give them opportunities, because there are many talents there, but rugby is few there. So they should go to the township and look for children.
How do you feel when you see a team like that? You mentioned there's 7 players of color. Would you be happier seeing more players of color to encourage you as well as other kids in the township?
Yeah, I don't like the Springbok that much, because I don't see many black players.
And I guess that's an interesting point, Coach, because that's an interesting point, because a lot of people say in the past 21 years of South African rugby, there's a lot of people of color who actually support the All Blacks, for example, because they see them as a more transformed team, so to speak. Let's do this, Coach. I know there's still hands up there. We're going to come back to you. Thank you very much. I've noted you, sir. We're going to come back to you. What we want to do is quickly bring up this graphic, Coach. Let's have a quick look, quick see. In the past 3 coaches that we've had coaching South Africa, we've had yourself, we've currently Heine Kameya, and we've had Jake White. Now, these are just the comparisons in as far as, for example, transformation scorecard, so to speak. And we're going to ask our guys up in Johannesburg to put it up. You see, Coach, you have about 26 players. Oh, there it is, 23.8% of transformation players that you've had in your squad. I think you've kept about 21 black players with a total of 285 caps. Jake White, between 2004 2007, he awarded, close to 1,100 test caps. Selected 23 black players, only for a total of 213 caps. And currently, Heine Kameya, he's at 19.75% as far as his transformation scorecard is concerned. 17 black players that he's introduced to the game, with a total 174 caps given to those. So basically, you look at that, you've kept more players of color as far as the past 3 coaches.
I did wrong there to be so, because that's why they chased me away. Because you had.
Peter. Let's go. What I'm going to do now, Coach, we're going to have to move on quickly. In fact, I'm going to ask us to take a quick break, 2-minute break. We come back. We're going to change a bit of the show, momentum, because there are a couple of things that I want us to introduce. You're watching a special broadcast. We're coming out of our Sea Point studios in Cape Town. We're speaking transformation in rugby. Some people saying we should not be called transformed players or coach players anymore. All we want is an equal opportunity. Let's take a quick break. We continue the conversation after this.
Good boy.
Thank you. Hey, cool.
Unemployment in the first quarter spiked to 26.4% after falling to a low of 24.3% in the fourth quarter of last year. More than 5 million South Africans are currently unemployed.
The platinum industry has expanded production dramatically, trying to catch up for last year.
Well, the CWU has rejected that current offer and has vowed to intensify its strike until the demands are met. Meanwhile, MTN subscribers have expressed their frustrations regarding the closure of call centres.
For all your business news, stay tuned to your favorite channel, SABC News, at 1 Monday to Friday.
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching SABC News Channel 404. We continue the debate, transformation in rugby. Is there still a need to have it? I want to ask now for a personal group of people who've helped put this together. Cameron Dugmore, part of the initiative for these dialogues. Cameron, welcome to the show. Let's have a quick chat with you and for a few of your panelists, or your guests, if I can call them that. Give us a bit more about why we're here and just a breakdown. Quickly, we're running out of time.
Thanks. Tabiso, this started on social media, non-racial sports activists talking about transformation. We said, let's get it into the open. So independent newspapers, Labyrinth Consulting came together, and we've had 3 dialogues. The first one at Trafalgar High, where we looked at the state of transformation in rugby since unification. Then we traveled to Heidelberg. You'll see a lot of the Heidelberg people here tonight. And we asked the question, merit selection, yes or no? And we ended up here. And these panelists sitting next to me actually experienced all of that. And it would be good to give them a minute just to talk about that. But I think the key issue that came out is that the SARU question is a real issue. Liz McGregor in the first dialogue raised serious issues about governance, about funding. And what came out strongly, the clubs have got to elect leaders that drive transformation. School sport is absolutely critical. Sponsorship, resources, merit selection, just a quick thing. And just to slightly differ with my friend, Mr. Mark Kleinschmidt, the issue there, which Peter de Villiers raised, 2 kids doing a school assignment, one with internet, one with no internet, one then develops 70%, other 30%. Yeah. Who's actually better? The issue here is taking this forward. We want this to go beyond the World Cup. We want to work with SARU, but SARU doesn't need to have an attitude of not accepting criticism. They've got to be self-critical, but we want to work with them. We've got to work with government and our communities. Yeah. It's in our hands. I want to ask Aslam Tofi, Nadim Hendricks.
What I'm going to do, unfortunately, Cameron, I'm not going to be able to have all of them. Let's have young lady, Robin Peterson. I think she's a former rugby player as well. Yeah, but I'm saying we can't have all 5 of them. So let's choose which one.
Thanks, Toby. So my name is Aslam Tofi. If I stand up, I'm going to block this view here. So I'll just be seated. Hi, Peter. I want to talk about transformation. Transformation for us is not about black and white. Transformation for us is about the hunger, the poverty, the drugs, the gangsterism in our townships. There we should start at schools level and transform. But let me come in here. I don't want to be part of a system of self-indulgence which served the ego of only a few that has led to these situations of inequality and injustice in this country that led to the system that we have today in sports, especially in rugby. This is unacceptable. There must be, and I stress, there must be another way that is dignified and based on real integrity and fairness and equality to realize our dreams and the dreams of our father, founding father, Nelson Mandela, to make this country truly a rugby nation. And I don't want to be seen as the be and end of all.
Yep.
After all, I'm an activist. I'm an activist and I'm a critical thinker. But really, it is heart-wrenching and inspiring narrative of a young man, Rudy Page, who is faced with troubles that so many face in our society, crumbling under the weight of the lack of opportunity and equality and corrupt administration. Yep. And we have learned how to overcome our struggles and problems to be the best that we can to ourselves and the best that we can be our sport.
Aslam, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you there. Let's have Robin quickly. Robin, young lady, speak to us. You play rugby. We're sitting here today, we're talking about opportunities that youngsters like yourself are crying for. Quickly, 30 seconds.
As you said, good evening. First of all, I am Robin September. I'm 16 years of age. Well, 3 years ago, I started playing provincial rugby. Ever since I've been in the SWD team, that's in George. So I'm from Heidelberg. I have to travel 3 hours to get to George for trials. If I don't get to trials, then I won't be in the team. So obviously, sacrifices I make. The children on our school, there are huge numbers of talent, but we don't have the facilities. So that's why some are in a national team where we stay at provincial, maybe just club, and we don't get the facilities that they get. There's a lot of poverty, gangsterism, and everything in our community that decreases us to reach above our circumstances, because not everybody has a huge self-esteem to say, like, I can do this, I can do that. They need the support, the encouragement for us to be professional rugby players as we ought to be.
Thank you very much, Robin. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We've literally got a minute, I've been told. There's one thing, Coach, and I think you, the audience, I'd like to share with you. This is a team, 15-man team, strictly black players, players of color that could possibly, a lot of people say, represent South Africa. I'm doing this because we'd like to take the conversation further. As you can see there, at number 1, he has Lizo Koboga at prop. We've got Skaran Tube, then Trevor Nyagani, Cornel Hess, Luvuiso Lusaseni, Sia Kolisi at 6, Opa Mahoja at 7, Nizam Khan at 8, Rudy Page at 9. Everyone's been speaking about the importance of him. Elton Yankees at fly half, Brian Obena, Yuan de Jong, Lionel Mapu, Lwazum Vovo, JP Peterson. Now, this is a totally 15 African team that a lot of people can say can take on the best of the best and even beat the current Springbok team as it stands.
There are better players on the outside too. I can see the coach is white.
No, this is the team chosen by Clinton Connerberg, so we have to give credit to him. He's a former journalist as well. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. They're telling me we run out of time. But that's just a look, Coach, and to our audience of what can be done. And hopefully we take the conversation further, because it's not about, as you said at the top of the show, about throwing stones and saying this is how bad SARU are, but starting a conversation going in as far as this is concerned. This has been a live broadcast coming from our Sea Point studios. We speak in rugby, transformation, and all things good and negative. Unfortunately, I have to hand you back to our Johannesburg studios. From us at Sea Point, good night.